and welcome to the podcast. I am Melissa Matheson, and today for our Wednesday episode, I have some friends here with a very non-traditional story about how they met, dated, and married. I have known Jeremy and Heidi for over 10 years, and there is one thing I've noticed about their marriage. They are truly best friends. Although their story is uniquely different, it is very clear that the hand of God was in every detail of their story. So grab your coffee and join us at the table. We're talking about navigating grief, family, and Chuck E. Cheese today on What's Next, God? So you guys are coffee drinkers? Mm-hmm, yes, mm-hmm. You are. Do you drink coffee at home too?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Every day?
Not every day. It's more of just for fun. Now, I guess he does. I do make it every morning for him.
She's pretty good about making breakfast in the morning. She does that stuff.
Do you make a breakfast in the morning?
Yeah, I didn't used to.
But you do. What do you make?
Now. Usually eggs and sausage and toast or
You
biscuits.
do a full breakfast?
Usually just for him. He's the only one that eats it. The boys are, they're iffy on whether they're going to eat it or not.
Jeremy, you are spoiled.
I know. Are we recording right now?
We are.
Never mind. I was going to add something else to it, but I'm not going to.
You can add and Dave can edit.
No, I didn't used to do breakfast. I was just one of those warm up something, get the kids out the door. I'm tired and I don't want to do all this. But probably within the last year, we were
pretty consistent about breakfast in the mornings.
He likes breakfast in the morning. He wants a warm breakfast. He does not want cereal. And so if I wasn't making breakfast, he was going and getting a biscuit. And I thought, we could save $5 if I just make breakfast. So I just started making it.
You are a good wife.
Well, I try.
She's really good. She is. She's good.
That's like a big deal. So I try to do a hot breakfast, but I don't do it every day. Our weekends are kind of our hot breakfast mornings. Mm-hmm. So
that's how we used to be.
Okay.
Because when the girls were in school, they did not care about breakfast at all. And the boys, they were fine with a warmed up biscuit.
Yeah.
So, I would just kind of get out the door. But then now that the more that like Ethan plays so many sports, and I thought, well, he needs to have something in him playing so much.
Yes.
And Jeremy needs to have that for, he works 10 hours a day. So I just, usually it's eggs and sausage is what I cook at least.
Yeah.
Sometimes biscuit, most time toast.
Mm-hmm. So when we do the big breakfast, we have the coffee with the breakfast.
Oh, yeah.
Do you do coffee like all day?
No, it's just that first one.
Okay. Get you going.
He has a Yeti.
Cup, so not just a cup. Like those Yetis are like cup. 4 cups of coffee.
Yeah, having that.
Yeah.
So he takes it to work and sips on it
there
all
you
day
go.
too.
Yeah, until it either has gotten cold or I've drank it all one.
Mm-hmm. So you guys are married, have
4 kids.
4 kids, 2 girls, 2 boys. Mm-hmm. And I want to tell everybody how I met you.
Okay.
So, because we've known each other, has it been
10 years?
10 years.
Mm-hmm.
So, because I remember when you moved to Hamilton. Mm-hmm. You guys moved from Birmingham area.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Moved here to Hamilton. And I remember you were coming to visit and looking at houses or something, I think the first time we met. So, you guys have been around here for a long time. We've raised kids together, haven't we?
Yes, we have.
Yeah. Go to the same church. Kids go to the same school. Mm-hmm. And they've just grown up together.
Our girls were best friends, Molly and Kara.
Danced all the time and all the recitals, things growing up. You remember all that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, how old are your kids now?
21, 19. Those are the girls. The boys are 16, or about to turn 16, and about to turn 12. Mm-hmm. So.
And you're busy with ball with the boys? Ethan plays football
and baseball.
Okay.
Now.
What does Jackson play?
He does soccer.
Mm-hmm. And the 2 older girls are graduated from school.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Brianna's in college, and then Kara's working part-time and hoping to go to cosmetology school.
Good for her.
Within the next year.
She'd be great at that.
Yeah, that's her dream.
So what brought you guys to Hamilton? That was a transition for you guys.
Yeah.
Because the kids were little. You guys were just had a life change and really upped and left jobs. And
We just had that deep gnawing inside, knowing that you are supposed to be somewhere. And I've never had felt anything like that before, but it was a definite thing that we were supposed to be here. And just over a period of time, God just opened those doors where we felt, from jobs, and I worked a job as a steel worker before ever becoming a barber. And that job they became a huge layoff in was that the first part of 09, I guess?
January
And then I was laid off for about 6 months. I was never expecting to be laid off, but I still just kind of drug my feet about it because I was thinking it'd be crazy to leave and then call me back, because it was a really good job that people just retire from. They don't normally quit that job. And then, of course, they had a big, huge layoff, and we, like I said, we stayed laid off for about 6 months. And then I was like, this is the time to go if we're going to go.
Yeah.
And then we started really looking, and anyways, moved here to Hamilton. And anyways,
That's a transition. With
huge
kids.
transition.
Yeah,
Huge.
it was, because they were little.
Huge.
They were 1, 5, 9, and 11
Yes.
when we moved
I think
here.
I have a picture of all of our kids in your living room
Yes,
when
that
y'all
was-
first moved into that house.
That was actually the day that, we had not found, we looked all summer for a house and had not found one. And 5 days before we were supposed to be out of our house in Birmingham, the Lord gave us a house in Hamilton. And so the day we drove up here, we called you and said, meet us over there. We're getting the keys. We want to show it to you.
That's right.
and you
that's
guys
right.
moved 5
Yeah.
days later.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
Crazy.
Hard to believe, isn't it, when you look back on
Oh my
what can
gosh,
happen
yeah.
in 10 years?
It is so crazy. It's like, where did the time go?
Yeah.
What happened and how did we get here? And like, it's been great, but at the same time, you're like, wow, that happened. It's only been 10 years.
10 years. Feels like a lifetime, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
Yes.
So how long have you guys been married? That feels like a lifetime.
That does feel like a lot. And we've only been married, it'll be 18 years in February, but it feels like 40, but not in a bad way.
Why? What do you think? Why do you think it feels like 40 to you?
Because so much has happened. There's no way it's only been 18 years.
Yeah, feels like a lifetime.
Yeah. And then our stories, with our story, it makes it a little different. So it's like, well, we've got older kids. And
So how, because your guys are not as old as people would probably think. So
yeah.
Heidi, who's older?
Jeremy is.
Yeah. By a little bit, just a little bit.
By a little bit. What's
Yeah.
the age difference?
It's about almost 8 years difference. We're about 7.5 years apart.
He's 45, and I will be 38 at the end of this month.
Yeah, and you have all
December
these
27th.
grown kids running
Yeah.
businesses. Are you in school right now?
I'm not at the moment.
Not at the
I'm
moment.
taking a break for right now.
What are you studying?
Business.
Business.
I figure since we own one, that would probably be a good thing to have with
Yeah.
a business degree.
So these are our Wednesday, the Camels Are Coming episodes where we get to talk about how people met, dated, and married. And it's based on a story in Genesis 24 where Isaac meets his wife when she comes riding over the hill on a camel. Most beautiful thing he ever saw. They got married, lived happily ever after. So we like to tell the story about how people met, dated, and married. And I know a little bit about your story. I have a feeling I'm probably going to learn some things I didn't know, though.
Okay.
So, but it's a little non-traditional.
Yes.
Yeah.
How old were you, Heidi, when y'all met?
19.
You were 19 years old. Jeremy, of course, a little older.
26 at the time.
26.
Yep.
Tell me a little bit about how you met.
Well, the Lord put us together.
Yes, he did.
And I guess for those who don't know, Jeremy was married before we were married. And his wife passed away in a car accident.
Yeah.
And they had 2 girls. And literally a month after all of that hit, the Lord put us together.
Yeah.
And it was just one of those things, like,
It was like conversation and friendship that anybody outside of the situation couldn't understand, at the time, because it wasn't like I was looking for a relationship or for a wife
right.
or anything like that.
And I didn't even know their last name. We went to the same church, and I kept the girls in the nursery. I was leadership in a nursery, and so I kept the girls in the nursery. So I knew of them and who they were as a family, but I didn't know their last name. And so when the accident happened, we as a youth group prayed, and and that happened. So it was not ever even something I was looking for. I was 19 and in college, and that wasn't really something I'm like, hey, I need a husband. I wasn't there at that point. And so, and I had already decided previous to that I didn't want a boyfriend or date unless I knew it was going to be my husband. I didn't want to have relationships. I just wanted to be with the person I was going to marry one day.
Yeah.
And so,
how did the first conversation get started? So, Jeremy, here you are grieving. You've lost your wife. You have two. How old were the girls?
3 and 1.
3 and 1. So here you are, a single dad, 2 little girls, grieving the loss of their mother.
Right. We actually had a spiritual mother. We call her just like a spiritual mom. You just have in the church. That just she's just that person that people talk to. You know what I'm saying? And I was actually in conversation with her because, like everybody else, she's outside of my family and both sides of my family, and I'm just talking to her about my feelings about things, and just anyways, we just had that conversation, and even she was talking to her at the same time, but we didn't know that. You know what I'm saying? We were just having a conversation, but I just had her praying for me about several different things, and I mean, it was a hard situation to go through because, as a young man, you just don't know what to do.
Right.
So at that time, it was a lot of things I was contemplating in my mind. I loved my wife, and I didn't. I wasn't expecting what to happen. What was going to happen? What happened? It was just a tragedy. But I had these young children, and I didn't know what to do. I had no idea. So all I could do was just hang on to God, and it's kind of like one of those things. Like if you don't hang on to Him, you're just going down another road, really.
Yeah.
And the other road was not a good one. You contemplate things like, I just don't really want to be here if it's not for my wife. But I had 2 girls that I just knew that they needed me. And so luckily I did have a close enough relationship with the Lord that I just hung on to Him for those things. Anyways, but the spiritual mother I just was talking to her one day, and we had just been praying, and I had prayed that, or I had been telling her that I just kept seeing somebody in my dream. Thought she was upset in this dream. I couldn't understand the reason why. And I said, I'm just praying about this girl. I said I'd seen her come to the hospital, actually, to come to where we were all, the families were up there grieving. And she came up there as a representative of the youth with some other people in the youth group. And I was like, I've seen that girl before, but I don't really know her. The church is big enough to where you just didn't really know her personally.
Right.
Mm-hmm. I said, is she saved? I mean, is she dealing with something? I said, because I was thinking, God's just giving me things, because He was giving me people that I felt like were struggling in their marriages and stuff like that. And I was like trying to speak to them, speak a word into them and stuff like that. I mean, that's what it was like I was really close to the Lord at that time. And she's like, well, she's got quite a story, I have to share it with you. And then this one day we're talking, going down the road. I didn't know that she'd been talking to Heidi. And she said, Jeremy, I just really feel like that this is something the Lord's trying to put together. And I was like, man, I'm just not really looking for a wife. Because it's like, matter of fact, I felt terrible that this conversation was going on because I just didn't understand it. It was frustrating.
And these situations with the Lord happened pretty quick.
Yeah, it was really fast.
Like after his wife passed away, I'm talking about like within 2 weeks. On my end, while he's dealing with that, I had a dream, actually, that he and I were getting married. And I woke up from the dream and I was like, what was that? That was, no.
Yeah.
No way.
That's
First
not
of all,
okay.
I'm 19. He's just lost his wife. And no, I'm not. I'm not doing this, Lord. And I laid there in the bed. I remembered it was early in the morning, and I fell back asleep and had another dream that I was talking to one of the girls and talking to her through some grief in the dream. And I immediately, I felt like I woke myself up, and I was like, I'm getting out of bed. This is weird. I'm not doing this. No. Lord, I don't know what you got going on, but no.
Yeah.
And so throughout the day, my aunt asked, she's like, Jeremy Ledbetter, and she didn't know I'd had these dreams that morning. I was like, why are you asking me about him? This is not cool. And she's like, well, and she said, the Lord told me that he is going to put you two together. And I was like, nope, that's not cool. I was really more mad at the Lord because she was a mom and she had kids. And I'm like, why did you take her? That's not fair. And so I spent some time with the Lord that night in prayer. And I was like, I'm not doing this. This is not fair. You don't know what you're doing. You've messed up. Like, no, I'm mad at you for doing this. And in prayer, he told me, I remember I could tell you right where I was laying on the floor and I'm just crying. I'm like, no, this is not cool. And he said, this is my will for your life. You've been praying for that. Now, do you want it? I'm like, well, of course I do, but you still made a mistake, And so from that moment on, we had several confirmations. The spiritual mother, I had been talking to her once I felt the Lord told me this. So I've had my aunt, the spiritual mother, the mother of our pastor. The Lord told her I've never met that woman in my life. And the pastor came to me one day and was like, so the Lord told my mom something, that you and Jeremy were going to be together. And I'm like, no.
We haven't had a conversation.
No, at this point, we've never spoken.
No, we've never.
Wow.
We've not ever talked yet.
Yes. So all that goes on. I know what I know. And the next day when I found that out, I go to work and I worked at Lifeway and he shows up and I'm thinking, I'm going to throw up because does he know?
Did anybody tell him?
Yeah, like, Lord, I know what you told me, but have you told him anything? And at that moment, he actually didn't have that conversation with her until after he left the store.
Okay.
So I'm hiding in the back. I'm like, I'm going to be sick. I'm going to the back of the store.
Did you go to the store to see her, Jeremy, or did you just happen to be at the store?
I was going there to...
You came to buy
a Bible cover thing.
Okay. But you knew she worked there.
But I did know that she worked there.
Because we went to church. In passing, months before.
I'd seen her wearing a shirt.
Yeah. And he was like, hey, you work at Lifeway. And I was like, yeah. But it had never been nothing like...
Yeah.
That was absolutely the only thing I've ever said to her prior to that.
So you hid in the back room.
I'm hiding back there, and they come back and they said, there's this man asking for you. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm really going to be sick. And so I go out and I'm like, hey, how are you? We had talked because like he said, I came up to the hospital during that time and we prayed with them and I knew the girls and so I knew who he was, and we knew who each other was, but not knew each other,
Yeah.
I didn't know her last name at the time. I knew her name was Heidi, and that she was in the youth group. I'm a married guy with 2 kids.
Yeah, so you just don't youth group, married people. You just don't chill.
Think about,
So I go out and I helped him. We looked for the Bible case and cover, and he gets it and he leaves. And that's when he left. Is when he had the conversation with Michelle about. I've had these dreams. Is everything okay? And, and so it was after that, like I'd had the confirmations. He had talked to her. Then it was kind of like, okay, Lord, what is next?
Yeah.
But
I did, it was kind of, like I said, this is, like you said, it's, what do you call it? Unconventional? Is that what you said?
Non-traditional. This is very non-traditional.
Very non-traditional.
But we ended up going somewhere with the youth group. I had friends of mine were like the youth pastors of the church, which they were. Anyways, but that's another story. But we ended up going somewhere, and I just asked if she would ride with me. I just wanted a private conversation.
This was our first talk.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And so we were just riding down the road, and I said, I've talked to Michelle, which is that spiritual mother we were talking about, and she's like, yeah. She goes, and she goes, I've had conversations with her too. And I said, I'll tell you, we kind of knew then that
each other knew each other what was going on.
What was going on.
Michelle had shared with him by this point, and me with
right. And then I said, I feel like that maybe the Lord's putting us together, and that I'm going to marry you one day, and that I know this is point A and that's point Z. But I don't really know. And she's like, I feel the same way. And that was basically just that's how it went. That's how it was. That's how it started out, was like that. And from that point, it was just lots of phone conversations and confiding in somebody to talk with and pray with, and it was really weird, really weird. But at the same time, it felt like it was what God was doing, was He was putting that together. Mm-hmm. But
so that was mid-August that happened. She passed away at the end of July. Mm-hmm. Mid-August, we start talking. And then September 29th, we got engaged.
Oh, my goodness.
Crazy.
And February 23rd of the next year of 2002, we got married.
Mm-hmm. So you have these dreams. People are giving you a lot of words saying, we're having dreams too about this. Did you guys like each other at all? When did that happen? When did you cross over from, I don't know, a lot of people are saying this, let's talk and be friends. When did it go, hey, I'm in love with you? Was there that crossover point, or did that happen after you were married?
No, I mean, I would say probably before we were engaged. I think through just being together.
I just knew it was going to be that. I just knew it was going to. I mean, I already knew I was going to marry her. I mean, I already knew it. It was like this. It was
like you just had this knowing.
Yeah.
Like once the Lord tells you that something is, it's like, okay, well, this is a little scary, but it is.
Yeah.
Like, the Lord said we're going to be together, so we're just going to be together. So we just kind of, like, you end up loving what God gives you.
Yeah.
Because God gave it to you.
That's good.
And so, like, you know that you're going to be together, so you love that. I loved him, and we grew and just.
There was never a conversation, or never even a thought in my mind that wasn't
it's like
the person that it was. That
you never think, I just
knew.
don't know if I'm going to love him. It was like, I love him because God gave him to me.
Wow. What is so that's obviously probably not the dream that you had as a child when you thought about getting married one day. Is it a little different, or did you just never think about it as a child?
I don't know. I wasn't raised with the traditional, mother, father. My parents divorced when I was little. My dad wasn't around. He lived in another state. My mom was married multiple times until she married. Her last marriage was my stepdad, and they were married for since I was 13, till he passed away years ago. And so I knew that whoever I married, I wanted it to be forever. I didn't want to, have the kind of lifestyle I had grown up in different things. And so I guess, I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't have said, hey, I want to marry a man that's lost his wife and, step into that role. And, I guess not, you don't have that thought,
Mm-hmm.
But I always knew. It's so crazy. I do remember, like, Lord, if you gave me kids I didn't birth, I would be okay with that.
Yeah.
Growing up. And then he gave me 2 girls.
Yeah, he did.
And they're mine, like I don't.
They are so yours.
I don't think of them any other way.
Yeah, no, and I even think they look like you. It's kind of like sometimes when I see photos of y'all, I just think that you guys have similar mannerisms and how much they look like you. So they were 3 and 1 or 2 whenever you guys got married.
3 and 1, and then they turned 4 and 2 months after we got married.
Mm-hmm.
Can I ask, what did your family think about all of this?
Oh yeah.
My family was supportive.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Jeremy's family was supportive, and then you have to add in her family. Mm-hmm. And at first it was hard for them, but they had just lost their daughter, and that was to be expected.
But man, they love her.
But the Lord
now just.
I mean, they are incredible. They're an incredible family. I always say that I know that was such a terrible tragedy for them, but the Lord used them to teach me love in a family.
Yeah.
and what that looks like. And so very quickly, even though it was very hard for them at first, but very quickly by Christmas, I'll say they became family. And, when we got married, they sat in the front row just with the other mothers.
Yeah.
And I gave her a rose, my mother-in-law a rose. And so we call them, that's our mother-in-law, and so we have 3 mamas. My mama, Jeremy's mama, and our mother-in-law.
So they're all still in your life now, that
Yes.
family is.
Yes.
That's amazing.
We spend holidays with them, and we're very close.
We just came back from Thanksgiving with him. We swap up, between whose house we're going to. Yeah.
Do they live in the area as well? Like, do
In
they all
Closer
come
to
down?
Birmingham.
Okay,
yeah.
so
Gardendale
all of
area.
the family is pretty much all down there for you guys.
Yeah, all of my family
All of her
and
family.
our in-laws
and my
live
in-laws
there.
live. My mom lives in Florence, just north of here. So we kind of live in between the.
Yeah,
Not
we're in
far.
between
Too, yeah.
everybody.
My mother-in-law, I remember her talking about her, how they accepted her and everything. And I just remember that at first she was hurt about it. She explained that to me. And she's very. She can get her point across very easily too. You know what I'm saying? She doesn't hold back any punches at all.
It's black and white.
It's black and white.
It is
there.
what it is.
You gotta love people like that.
And I respect that in that woman, I'll tell you, because she doesn't hide anything like that. So I told her I completely understood, and I knew that she didn't understand. I knew that, and I apologized for that. But I also explained to her she knew just how much I loved her daughter, and being married to her daughter, she was such a good young woman, all of our marriage. She was 24 when she passed away. That my time with her, we were married a little over 5 years, prepared me to be the husband I needed to be for
Heidi.
For Heidi.
Yeah.
And she said, sometimes I don't, people will ask me, well, why aren't you upset about this? Aren't you, what do you think about this? And she goes, I have been upset about this, but how can I be upset about somebody that takes care of my grandchildren?
Yeah.
She feeds them. She takes care of them. She makes sure they go to school. She makes sure that they're, looking like little girls are supposed to be and being a mom.
Yeah.
How could I ever say anything negative about somebody that loves and cares for them like Heidi does?
Because I quit school. I actually, before we got married, I finished out my semester of school, but I quit school and quit work. And I would get up in the mornings. Jeremy had to be to work at 6:30. So I would get up in the mornings, drive to his house, and get there at 6 o'clock and be there with the girls all day. And then I had to be home by midnight. So I was there with them all day. I would take them, I would put them to bed, and we would hang out for a little bit, and then I would go home. And we did that from December, January, and February.
Wow.
Every day, because they needed me.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so I did that until the day we got married. And so they were never without me unless they were asleep.
Yeah.
And that was, they were just they became my life. And I quit school and quit work, and I turned 20 in December, so I was 20 when we got married, and I've been a stay-at-home mom for 18 years. And
Yeah.
What was that like, stepping into something with the girls? Did you just see it as taking care of little girls, or when did your heart go, these are my daughters?
Immediately. Yeah, immediately. Because I knew when the Lord told me that Jeremy and I would be married, I knew that I was going to become mom. Mm-hmm. And it's not like a divorce situation where you're
Right.
trying to be somebody, but they already have somebody. It was, they lost something and needed me.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And so I never ever remember feeling even like, oh gosh, these are somebody else's kids. I just immediately loved them like they were mine.
Yeah.
because they needed that. And even, I think I needed that. Mm-hmm. I needed them as much as they needed me. And so they just became my girls.
Yeah.
And so, when, matter of fact, years later when we got pregnant, I was giving all of the girl stuff away. And my sister-in-law says, well, what if you have a girl? And I'm like, I'm not going to have a girl. I have 2 girls. The Lord's not going to give me a girl. This is going to be a boy. And sure enough, we've had 2 boys since then.
Yeah.
And I just knew. I was like, I have girls, so I don't need any more girls. I need some boys now. And so it's never been, you have some families that are blended, and it's the whole, those are his kids and those are our kids, but it's never been like that. Like,
no,
they're our kids.
I mean, ever since I've known you guys, they've always been your kids.
Yeah.
And you've been their mother. And I don't even remember, I knew you for a while, I guess, before I even knew that story. And for people, maybe when they do find out, they'll be like, it doesn't even make sense that, because you're Heidi, you're Kara and Brianna's mom, and always have been.
Right.
Do the girls, of course, Kara was too little. Does Brianna have any memories?
Oh, yeah.
She does?
Yeah,
I think
she does.
Brianna can remember.
The day she was born.
Yeah, she can remember everything.
She doesn't forget anything.
She remembers everything. She remembers just everything.
So she remembers her mom.
She does. She remembers her a lot. And of course, we talk about things, too, that's happened, back whenever their mother was here and stuff like that. And that's where a lot of Kara's memories are basically ones that we've
told her.
Or
Right.
her family, her mom and all them, my mom, whoever, told them about. But Brianna, yeah, she remembers everything. But it's hard to tell your child that their mother's not going to be there anymore. So when Heidi started coming there, Brianna was kind of going through a lot. We were all going through a lot. And I was trying to explain to her that one day we were going to be married, And she said, well, what do I call her? Can I call her Mom? And this is a 3-year-old. And we always had conversations like
she always seemed way more mature than 3 years old.
I was going to say, that's a serious question for a 3-year-old.
Yeah.
But that's so Brianna.
Yeah.
Or do I call her Heidi? And I was like, well, you can call her whatever you want. I mean, whatever you want to do. You can call her Mama Heidi if you want to. You can call her Heidi. You can. What do you want to call her? She goes, I don't know. I think I'm going to say Mama Carla and Mama Heidi. It's like, that's fine. If she's remembering something, but it ended up being Mama.
Right.
And if she wanted to talk to us about something that happened with her mother, she'd always say, Mama Carla did this, or Mama Carla said this, or that's how she would separate the two, in memory. But the one thing I'm so grateful for is, even though it's in traditional, they've never. They were robbed of their mom's presence here, but they were never robbed of a mother. I made sure that they had a mom. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I just thought, man, even like our family and stuff would say, call her Heidi instead of, hey, ask your mom this. And I was kind of adamant. I tried to, at first, like, well, they call her Mom. I just want y'all to know that, And because I just never wanted them to be robbed of being able to say, hey, Mom.
Right. Right.
And that was just, to me as a dad, that's what I've just been grateful for. If they have never been robbed of somebody they could still call Mom.
Yeah.
Mother, this is my mom. And
in all of that transition, even when we got married, because it wasn't your typical situation, like, I never took her pictures down because I didn't want them to feel like I was coming in to erase her.
Right.
And so I kept her pictures up in our living room where they lived. I moved in where they lived, and I kept everything up. I just added our pictures to what she already had out.
Yeah.
And so I feel like that even helped them to realize that I wasn't trying to replace her.
Right.
but that I was
Because-
coming along where that stopped to help continue the journey.
Exactly, because that's still part of the story. You know, and we can come in and add to the story, or it might be a new chapter in the story, but it's still part of the story. You can't just ignore it or wish it didn't happen and erase it, like you
Right.
said. It's just part of the story that you did that. And I'm just amazed that at 20 years old, though, Heidi, like you understood that. Like, that is so the Holy Spirit.
I've always felt like an older person. Like, I know I'm about to be 38, but I feel like really I'm about to be 58. Mentally.
You've lived a long life.
Yes.
You have.
I feel like I had to grow up early, and so by the time I was 20, I'm like, oh, I'm 30. You know, so
bet
when
you
I hit
did.
30, I'm like, I feel like I've been 30 my whole life, so this is nothing. 40,
the
I'm
same.
kind of like, wow, I'm going to be 40 in 2 years.
Hey, I know what Jeremy can give you for your 40th birthday. That thing you gave me for my 40th.
Oh my gosh.
Jeremy showed up at my office with a walker for my 40th birthday.
Forgot about that. Oh my gosh.
And it was not even my 40th, it was my 39th.
Oh
And
my
you thought it
gosh.
was my 40th, and you brought a walker to the office. And I
There
wasn't
was a
there yet.
reason
You
behind
left
that,
it.
and I can't exactly remember. I think you
I
were
don't
making fun
remember
of
the
me about
story.
something.
I must have teased you about something, and you were
I know what it was. You told me that I looked just like that guy off of the Elf. I was the white version of that guy. And I can't even remember his name now to save my life. Oh my gosh. I was like, what? And then I got to look at it, I thought, I am. I look like that dude. Oh my gosh. That was funny. I thought, I've got to get her.
You did.
Somehow.
You got me. Brought me a walker. So
That's right.
we'll have to whip it back out.
Do you still have that?
No, I gave it back. I gave it back.
I
I think we gave it to your
I
mom.
think we did. We re-gifted the
Shared that
gift.
gift.
Tell me a little bit about married life. So you guys kind of jumped in. You weren't even really newlyweds. Y'all were, it's like you'd already been married 5 years when you got
That's what I
married.
felt, yeah.
Yeah.
How different is marriage now for you than it was then?
I don't know. It's
How
Still the
different.
same?
I think
Yeah,
it's
I
still the
mean-
same. I mean, I think with any marriage, and this is one of those things you were talking about in the beginning. I believe that you got to remember to always date your wife. Mm-hmm. If I was to tell that to any young man, always date your wife. And even though times get really busy with us, I try my best to figure out a time that we can just go out.
Yeah.
I don't care if it's just out to dinner close by or something like that. It doesn't have to be in a big extreme thing, but that's just to get by ourselves and date each
even
other.
just like drive around. Like,
Yeah.
you know, we love to just drive around and walk through antique stores. Or
We're literally best friends, no joke.
Yeah.
She brings a peace to me that I can't explain. I could be at the barber shop. This is kind of one of those confessions that probably nobody knows, you know.
Okay.
But I can be at the shop, and you know, it gets a little. Even though I go by appointment and stuff like that, sometimes you get a little bit behind, and the schedule gets a little bit hectic, or just a difficult client or something like that. Could be a child or whatever, and I'm like, hey, I need you to come by the shop for just a minute.
he'll text me, I need you. I'm like, what do you need? He's like, I just need you to come to the shop.
And literally, and I know it sounds kind of weird and mushy, but she can just sit there
And
be
just
with
her
me.
being there.
Just be with me for a minute, because we're just connected that way, you know.
Yeah, we like just being together, just hanging out.
Yeah,
Kind of cool.
yeah.
Yep.
So, yeah.
And
So-
it's always been like that. Like, you know, I mean, life happens. We have 4 kids. We're extremely busy.
Extremely busy.
But he's still my best friend. You know, at the end of the day, he's still
yeah.
my husband. And like, there's never been a point where I'm like, oh, God, I just dread doing this.
Mm-hmm.
I don't. I mean, I love being a wife, and I love
Yeah.
being a mom, and I don't know. I think it gets better every year, to be honest with you.
Right.
You know, people are like, oh, you know, the older you get, the harder you got to work. But I don't think it's like that
I
for
don't
us.
see that with you guys at all. I feel like as I've known you, you guys have just sort of grown together, you know, in the way you do things. You are very much knitted together.
Definitely.
In that way. Talk to me a little bit about, because we talk a lot about transition on here, and I just remembered when you guys moved here, and Jeremy, you didn't have a job. And I remember you talking to me about, hey, I got this idea. What if I started cutting hair?
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah, it was kind of out of left field.
It was so out of left field.
Out of left field, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I was, you know, like I said, I moved here from a job that was a very good paying job, good benefits, all this, you know, it was really good. And I'm living here in Hamilton, and there's nothing here close by that was very, not, you know, not the, it's
It
not
would really
the type of
provide,
job, provide even like I was used to doing. And so, but we were just willing to leave everything behind and do exactly what the Lord wanted us to do. So we're just right here in the middle of everything. And I didn't care if I rode the back of a garbage truck. It just didn't really matter to me. And I actually applied for the job for the garbage truck.
I remember.
And I was so disappointed because I was thinking, dude, I've got this job because I can run a backhoe. I can drive a dump truck. I've got a CDL license. And I didn't get the job. And I was like,
He's sad he didn't get the garbage
that
truck
was,
job.
I was like, I'm overqualified for this job. You
I
know?
just need a job.
Man,
Somebody
yeah.
give the man a job.
But I got a job it was a motorhome manufacturing place, and as I worked there, I just knew that there was a ceiling there, you know, unless you moved into some kind of management or something like that. And I'd always wanted to work for myself, but at the same time, I was thinking paycheck. I needed something that's solid, that's a good paycheck for my family, good benefits. So I decided I was going to go into school for occupational therapy or either nursing. So I went into school to do that, did 2 semesters, and I was like,
He did the anatomy class and realized that was not for him.
that was not, I was like, I cannot. They wanted you to remember the bones right off the bat. I thought, this is not what I need to be doing. At the same time, this is all going on. We have moved away from our barber, you know, we've left him. And so I was driving back almost an hour just to carry my son to get a haircut. Not that anything was intricate about my haircut. But I loved the place. I loved going to it. But in the meantime, I thought, well, I'm just going to try this at myself. So I started watching YouTube videos and thought, man, yeah, I think I can cut hair. And blah,
He
blah.
watched every YouTube
I watched every YouTube video I think that they had on YouTube at the time.
Used to, when you watched YouTube videos, they turned purple. And then
If
the
you've
ones
seen
that
it
you
before.
haven't seen were still black.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
There were no black ones
Yeah,
under
that's all.
barbering. He
All-
had
I
watched.
just sit there and just watch.
All
And it would just
barbering
mesmerizing to
videos.
watch somebody shave somebody or watch somebody cut somebody's
Then
hair.
our boys became guinea pigs.
I remember that.
Yes.
You remember
Kitchen.
the mohawk?
Oh, the boys
Yeah.
had a different haircut
Yeah.
all the time.
I'll
Yeah.
never forget walking in and they're in the bathroom with the door shut and Jackson goes, Ethan don't have no hair on his head.
He
And I
goes-
was like, oh Lord.
He goes, look, we're both bald headed.
So I'm on the other side of the door and I'm like, this is not going to be good.
But in the middle of that, ended up, I thought, you know, I just want to try my hand at this barbering thing. So I just started researching where I could go and ended up going to a community college. It was in Decatur. And first I told her, I said, this is what I'm thinking about doing. She's like, if you think that'll make you happy, hey, you know, go for it. And I'm thinking,
You were on board, Heidi, the whole time.
the whole
Yeah.
time. I thought
I'm like,
she'd
okay,
say,
well,
you're crazy.
that's what you want to do.
Yeah.
Let's go. I'm usually like that. Whether it turns out good or bad, I'm like, well, that's what you want to do. Even in my mind, if I knew it was going to be bad, later on he would come back and he'd be like, why didn't you tell me that was a bad idea? I'm like, because I wish you needed to do it and I was supporting you to do it. So, well, let's go.
Support you when you win and support you when you don't.
Let's see what happens.
But my first semester in, I was just like, this is awesome. Like, I love this. This is fun, and it's a creative side of me that I didn't know I had, you know. And I just loved it from the beginning. And
Finished school. You opened up a
Finished school.
business in downtown Hamilton.
yeah,
Yeah.
Old school barbershop.
old school barbershop, and we've been there for July of 2012. So it's been a little over 7 years that I've been there, and it's
You're packed.
yeah,
you're
packed right now.
You're the only barber there. You need to raise up an apprentice.
Something like that. I don't know. Maybe I'm just setting my ways. I don't really. I haven't really tried to go after.
I have an idea.
I've talked to a couple of people.
Heidi could learn how to barber,
Really?
and then you two could work at the barber shop
a
together all day,
possibility.
every day, since you're
Yeah.
best friends. And
Yeah.
I'm not against that, but at the same time,
it takes that whole barber
Yeah.
shop.
She's like, I do not have a
like,
desire
you know,
to
I'm
do
a
this.
girl. This is
Yeah.
a guy's barber shop. You know?
yeah,
It's a
and your
gentleman
barber
only
shop, it is a
and
gentleman's. It is a.
Yeah, it's more like a guy's.
It's a
shop.
guy's.
It's a man's
shop.
place.
It
And I would
is.
just kind of mess up the vibe, I think.
Kara's
You know?
actually talked about how she would, if she goes to cosmetology school, she's like, Dad, we could work together. I was like, oh. This could change the whole dynamic of this barbershop and have you in here. I mean, first of her being kind of young and cute and all that stuff, and then I don't know if I would like that or
She
not.
probably would draw in a whole lot of new clients.
And then
Whole different clientele.
she's like, we could call it like beards and buns. I was like, we don't need to put buns in that. We need to. She's like, beards and bows. And I was like, I don't know. You know
Come on,
oh
Dad.
man, I'm telling you. Not that she wouldn't probably be hilarious and fun to work with. No
Yes,
joke.
but it is a different feel.
It's a different
Yeah.
feel. It's
Yeah,
definitely
it is not a salon type
Yeah.
experience.
Yeah.
So I don't mind hanging out in there, but then there are times when I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go.
I'll just let you
there.
guys go.
Because
So, yeah.
you know, it's a barber shop, but he has guys that come in there to sit because of the atmosphere.
Yeah.
They're like, I know Jeremy's a godly man, and I just need to be in your presence today. You know, and so he prays for men in there, and he counsels men in there. I mean, he's not just a barber; he's
And then I
everything
tie them
else.
down in the chair, and then they counsel me. And I'm telling you, by the way, today it's going to be a me time. I'm sure some of them are like, oh my gosh, I'll be glad when this haircut's over with so we can get out of here. But most of the time, we really enjoy each other there. It becomes a family type. You know, you get to know people, know
Yes.
their families, know their kids. And I've watched kids that I started out, 7.5 years ago, they were in elementary school. Well, now they're graduating high school. And I was like, man, I'm seeing some crazy changes going on right now.
Yes.
And they've been with me that long. Some of them have. And
Well, he's done it for 8.5 years because prior to owning our own shop, he worked at another shop for
a
almost a year.
I
So
remember that. Yeah.
He's seen these kids through a lot.
and it's just fun to see these people. But you can run into a lot of.
Did you have any idea when you started that it would be as successful as it is today?
No, I didn't.
We used
I mean,
to
I
just
had the
pray for
hopes.
$20 so we could go buy hot dogs for dinner. You know, when
I
it
was
first
just
started,
Lord,
it was like,
if I could make X amount of dollars a day to replace my income that I was making before, I was like, I'd be happy
Yeah.
because I'd be doing something that I really like doing too. And man, I would be like, I remember in the very beginning, I had some fellas like Mike Kastner and some other people I could name, and I'd be like, hey man. You need a haircut today?
don't you just need to come get one?
And he would just laugh. And he'd be like, I think I am getting a little shaggy. I'll come over there and get a little trim, So I was
Remember, you
begging.
had to call friends in.
Yeah. It took a
Nowadays,
few
you don't
years.
have to
No.
advertise or market. You
No,
guys
he's
are.
booked out. And
Yeah.
I've got an active clientele it's pretty large active clientele. I don't know.
That's awesome.
I don't even know what it is, but it's good.
yeah.
Tell me a little bit about the holidays. How many Christmas trees do you have up in your house?
One.
Just one.
Just one.
We're the family that we do not decorate until after Thanksgiving.
The
We hold
weekend
on to
after
this.
Thanksgiving.
Same
That's our
here.
tradition.
Yeah,
Like,
that's
I
our
love
traditional
fall.
thing.
Fall is my favorite. So I have fall decorations out, and I
Yes.
can't take them down until I've had Thanksgiving. We do the tree, and our tree is not a
Themed
tree or a color. It is my kids' ornaments. Christmas Eve, we do my family, and we actually started a tradition years ago where we go to Chuck E. Cheese.
Really?
Yes.
Really?
So instead of buying
Non-traditional.
gifts, yes, non-traditional. We're all about non-traditional here.
You go to Chuck E. Cheese on
We go
Christmas
to
Eve.
Yeah.
Chuck E. Cheese. So instead of buying
Chuck
gifts
E.
for all the
Cheese.
kids, my aunt's like, they're never going to remember. I want to do something. And
Make memories.
we still look forward to it. Like a couple of years ago, we weren't able to do it. And everybody was like, I go to Chuck E. Cheese this year. It didn't matter if you were 5 or if you were 25.
Yeah.
Because everybody just has the best time.
They got this little thing that you sit in that you get your picture made, and it's a terrible picture.
Terrible.
But it's a little sketch.
Yes.
I love those.
We have a
Everybody's
whole
got 'em
stack
on.
of those. Like we hold the building up, taking the pictures,
I
and
love
it's not
those.
packed on
Christmas Eve.
On Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
It's so there's usually us and one or two other
great.
families in
And they're
there.
just all in there. They got their cups of coins, and they're just playing
Everybody, we all
games
have
and
our own cups,
That's
and
so
cutting up.
funny.
we have the best
adults
time.
too. You know, we do have a good time.
That's great.
And Christmas Day, we go to our in-laws.
Okay.
Yeah, Christmas Day is usually a Christmas Day night thing with them.
Mm-hmm.
But after we do our thing at home and
Christmas morning.
we open gifts and do Christmas morning there at our house, then we kind of leisurely take our time to get ready and go to my mother-in-law's house in Gardendale.
Mm-hmm.
And we have Christmas Eve or Christmas Day night there, and it usually lasts till forever.
It's late because our family has grown, so there's
Huge.
20.
Lots of people.
A lot of them.
Lots of
Six
kids.
of us, 20.
Wow.
There's a lot of us, and we all pile up in the living room and pass out gifts, and then we open youngest to oldest.
One at a time.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then my mom's side of the family, we try to. I'm gonna try to talk to her about doing New Year's Eve. But Mom is always. She's not difficult, but she has her opinions about when she needs to to have it done. So we just try to work it out on a day that works for everybody's work schedule. Pretty
Gotcha.
much, my
With
sister and my
her.
brother.
So it's usually a little bit after.
Yeah, my sister and my brother live up there where she lives in Florence, and so we try to. So usually right after Christmas. Sometimes we try to do it before Christmas, but usually not everybody's ready because we're all doing last minute stuff right before Christmas. So we usually do it right after Christmas. So,
Yeah.
but we love,
And that side of the family's growing too. So I think
oh my
there's
gosh, yeah.
maybe between 12 and 15. All the numbers are kind of running together, but
Yeah.
so we do the same thing. We pass out gifts and
Yeah.
do gifts and eat and hang out. And so
A lot of family stuff.
Lots of family
it
stuff. Yeah.
keeps us busy.
That's our thing.
And then our boys' birthdays are in December, the 12th, the 16th, the 18th. Mine's the 27th.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
All the
so-
birthdays.
December's a pretty crazy month
A
for us.
busy
Busy
month
one.
for you guys.
Yes.
So, well, thanks for taking the time and tell us your story. Well, friends, that is certainly not a story you hear very often. I'm so grateful that Jeremy and Heidi were willing to share their unique story with us. It just goes to show that God works in mysterious ways. The way He provided for Jeremy and the girls through Heidi is a beautiful picture of God's thoughtfulness and care over every detail of our lives. So glad you were able to join us today. And if we haven't connected yet on social media, you can find me on Instagram or Facebook under the name Melissa Matheson. That's math, like 4 + 1 = 5, I before E, son, S-O-N, as in my 17-year-old son who has a new love for cooking and Pinterest recipes, but we'll save that story for another day. We'll be back here again on Monday and hope you can join us. Bring your coffee and I'll save you a seat. There's a lot going on these days, and I can't wait to talk with you again about what's next, God.